Put your seatbelt on.
Are we gonna help him?
No.
Joel!
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Last of Us Episode 4 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references. They introduced a bunch of big characters from the games and some new characters that weren't on the game, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. We're doing a giveaway for HBO Max subscriptions. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and just post your favorite moments from the episode in the comments. Careful for spoilers from the episode. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll start at the beginning, work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments, starting with the episode title. Please Hold My Hand, which is a reference to the Hank Williams song that Ellie finds in Bill's stuff and they play during the car trip. The scene is taken directly from the video game, as are many of the scenes in their lines of dialogue during the episode.
Here, this make you all nostalgic?
You know, that is actually before my time. That is a winner, though.
This make you all nostalgic?
This is actually before my time.
Right.
It's a winner, though.
But they did move around a few things during the episode from when they happened during the game. The title, Please Hold My Hand, are actually lyrics taken from the song. The actual song's name is Alone and Forsaken, and it's meant to be a metaphor for everything that's happening during the series, everything that's happened to their characters. The lyrics of the song talk about pastures were green, the meadows were gold, but her love, like the leaves, have now withered and gone. A metaphor for the downfall of humanity, the world decaying now. Metaphorically, it also refers to Joel and Ellie's previous relationships, like Joel and Tess, because she's gone now. Ellie's previous relationship with Riley, who is also gone now. There were a couple big references to Riley in this episode that I'll mention when we get to those parts of the episode. We got a little bit more of Ellie's backstory, but like she's slowly teasing it out, like they're slowly opening up to each other about each of their histories. The lyrics of the song are also a metaphor about their developing relationship too. If you hear me, please, Lord, hold my hand, like Joel taking care of Ellie the way he would take care of his daughter. But both of them relying on each other for help. Like Ellie literally helps him in the episode, and Joel also needs a bit of emotional help, so to speak. Like they both start emotionally supporting each other. In reality, he needs her just as much as she needs him. They haven't been changing the opening theme titles as far as I can tell. I've already talked a little bit about the imagery during them in my previous episode videos. The actual opening scene is of Ellie in the gas stop, fantasizing, practicing with Bill's gun that she took, pretending to be a badass. She's in for a rude awakening, having to kill another person in cold blood, not just simple infected or killing someone at the immediate threat that they might kill her. Even though she does hint to Joel that she's killed someone before, that's a reference to Riley. You can tell that she's still trying to toughen up and learn how to handle the emotional weight of what comes with using a gun. We start to see more of their relationship developing with Ellie's book of puns during the episode. They're all very much in the tone of dad humor level jokes, really dumb dad humor, even though at first he's still very reluctant to get close to her. She keeps wearing down his emotional defenses through the episode with the puns and all the trauma that they experience with the hunters as well. Until the end of the episode, when he genuinely laughs with her at the puns like a dad would. The actual book that she's holding, Livingston's Book of Puns, is directly from the games. It's in The Last of Us Left Behind. Ellie and Riley found the book, No Puns Intended 2, TOO, while they were at the amusement park. And during their car trip in the game, she also reads him the puns from the book like she does here in the episode. Their relationship is very complicated. It's not simply a little girl idolizing a new father figure. When she starts to learn more about Joel's backstory, she learns how complicated he is about the terrible things that he's done in his past. One of the big themes of The Last of Us, the games and the show, is forgiveness in general. Like Joel is seeking forgiveness, redemption in what he's doing with Ellie. But you get a better sense for their dynamic together. They start to feel more like a father-daughter pair as she begins to make fun of him for not knowing how a siphon works, like not knowing the science behind it. Also messing with him in the car in a playful way. The whole gas station scene, the overnight camping scene are not from the games. In the games, they just simply drive away after Bill gives them the car, stopping at the roadblock before they encounter the hunters. The other big change is that the hunters they encounter were in Pittsburgh, not in Kansas City like on the show. But for the most part, all the moments that they have in the car, the dialogue, are taken directly from the game. When Joel is explaining why all their damaged cars are on the road look like that, he talks about the military's tanks plowing the roads clean. How she'll see one of the tanks soon is a reference to a short while later in the episode, down the road, where they pass a bunch of abandoned military vehicles, and Joel talks about how the military was designed to fight the wrong enemy. because the military was designed to fight other countries and the real enemy was the fungus, and the military were relatively ineffective against it, which is why you see all the abandoned vehicles on the road. See how much use they were in fighting the fungus. The tape of Hank Williams that Ellie pulls out of the back seat and their dialogue directly from the game, but the Hank Williams song didn't start playing in the game until they got stopped by the hunters, as opposed to the show where they listened to it right at the beginning here. Joel having to explain who Hank Williams is because Ellie has absolutely no idea because she was born after the apocalypse started. She just thinks of Joel as another old because he seems like an old man to her. Really, he's in his 50s, and the song itself was written by Hank Williams in 1948, long before Joel was born. They also use this particular Hank Williams song in a bunch of the trailers for the series. The dirty magazine that Ellie finds in Bill's backseat is also right out of the games. It's the exact same version of the magazine. It's like a fictional magazine they created for the game.
Light on the reading, but it's got some interesting photos.
Now, Ellie, that ain't for kids.
Whoa!
As is their dialogue when she starts messing with him and he freaks out not knowing how to answer her when she asks why the pages are stuck together. He's not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. As Joel explains, the reason why the livestock are alive here in the Midwest is because it's too remote for the infected to live here. Because of the way the fungus mutated, it tends to congregate around the population centers. And because of that, the real danger out here in this part of the country isn't the fungus, it's the other people. Rogue bands living outside the quarantine zone, there are many of them of different sizes, all meant to foreshadow their encounter with the hunters, like terrible people who would do things far worse than just trying to steal their stuff. And it's a long trip after they make it through Kansas City, so like it's just the beginning of them running into really dangerous small groups on the way. The reason why Joel is so wary of them, and just during the episode in general, especially when they get inside Kansas City, as he tells Ellie, is because he used to be one of the hunters when he was first traveling from Austin to the Boston quarantine zone with his brother and Tess. That's what he and Tess meant earlier when they said that they weren't good people, because all the messed up stuff you see the hunters doing in the episode, they did that too to survive, although Joel does say that he was only with the hunters because his brother joined them and he wanted to keep an eye on his brother. So yes, he did do terrible things and killed people in cold blood, like later in the episode when Ellie asked him, did you kill people in cold blood? He doesn't answer her. Obviously the answer was meant to be yes, like she took the meaning from his silence to be yes. But they want to make it feel more complex, like he wasn't doing that, he wasn't being violent because he wanted to, for violence sake. He was doing it just because he was trying to protect his brother. During the early leg of their drive here, the bridge that they pass over isn't meant to be the bridge from Pittsburgh in the game, but it is a reference to that bridge. In the game, their escape from Pittsburgh is a bridge which is heavily guarded by the hunters. They pass an Arby's sign paying off Bill's Arby's joke from episode 3 when he first met Frank in his trap. Arby's, the brand in real life, got in on the joke after the episode aired too with their own social media posts. Every time I see Arby's jokes, all I can think of is that Simpsons joke, I'm so hungry I could eat it at Arby's. The reason Joel pulls the car into the woods and won't let Ellie have a fire is to prevent those other potential people from finding them, killing them, eating them, doing all kinds of terrible things to them. They bond over their enjoyment of Hank Williams and Chef Boyardee ravioli, like he slowly starts to agree with her and enjoy things that she does, which is part of their arc in the episode, the puns, them getting closer by the end of the episode. You also start to get a sense for Joel's sense of humor. Like he does have a sense of humor even though he isn't a very jokey type of person. When he makes fun of Bill by saying that the nice-smelling sleeping bag must have been Frank's, and him knowing the answer to the pun. Now, he doesn't know it because he read the book. It's just because it's really dumb and easy to figure out. But while this is all going on, he's still kind of having PTSD flashbacks to his daughter, like he's starting to feel that same energy, the same vibe that he felt when he was with his daughter. That's why he's so reluctant to get close to Ellie, even at this point. He doesn't want to emotionally open himself up to another person yet, just because he assumes the worst is going to happen. But through the episode, she slowly begins to wear him down, and they start to open up to each other. The next morning, when she starts complaining about the smell of coffee, that's also taken from a conversation in the game that happens later when they're inside an abandoned coffee shop in Pittsburgh on the run from the hunters. But the dialogue, the jokes are meant to be similar from the one in the game.
Oh, this place stinks.
Woods all rotten.
Did you go to coffee shops a lot?
I did. All the time.
And what would you get?
Just coffee.
When he slurps the coffee to mess with her, that's also him showing his own sense of humor again, just the dad humor that he has. Joel begins explaining his brother Tommy and their relative backstory. Tommy is the younger brother who Joel has felt responsible for their entire life, and even though they disagree, like Joel disapproved of him joining all these different groups over his life, the military, the hunters, then the Fireflies, then whatever's going on with him now that he's trying to figure out, he still feels responsible for him, wants to protect him because of his belief that family is the most important thing in the apocalypse. He and Tess weren't married or anything like that, but they were together as a couple for so long that he considered her family, whereas Ellie, as he says right here in the episode, at least at this early point, is not family. She's still just an obligation in his eyes, but slowly that's beginning to change. What happened to Tommy is that after the initial fungus spread in 2003, Tommy joined the group of hunters that were heading to Boston. Joel joined with him to keep an eye on him. Along the way, he met Tess, and while that was happening on their journey to Boston, they did all these crazy things that you see the hunters do in the episode, trapping people, killing innocent people, stealing their stuff just to survive. All the dark things that he's still having trouble telling Ellie about, like, yeah, I definitely did kill a whole bunch of innocent people. But the whole idea is that during that time, Joel didn't enjoy what they were doing, like he didn't relish in hurting innocent people, and he left the first chance he got with Tess. While that was happening, Tommy found Marlene, and she won him over to the Fireflies in their quote-unquote grand quest to save the world, as Joel talks about it, which he thinks is completely misguided. The Fireflies' actual plan is to also overthrow the Fedra military and install a civilian government more akin to what society used to be like before the apocalypse, thinking they do a much better job of administrating life in the apocalypse, and also at the same time developing a vaccine. That's really where the quote-unquote save the world comes from, and where Ellie gets involved in the story. But eventually, Tommy grows disillusioned with them. It's implied that he was also having to do terrible things while he was with them, because the whole idea is that the Fireflies, even though they seem like a really good group, do things that are just as bad as Fedra and as the Hunters. Morally speaking, pretty much everyone on the show are just shades of gray, like no one is truly good or truly evil. Eventually, Tommy leaves the Fireflies, and that's where Joel lost contact with him and why he's going to Wyoming to find out what happened to him. His whole conversation with Ellie about what really matters in life, why it's important to continue living, is also really important for their whole arc in the series, just in general. More specifically, it foreshadows some of the controversial decisions that Joel will make regarding Ellie towards the end of the first game, and what will probably be the end of Season 1. Like, I believe they're meant to cover all the first game during Season 1. When he eventually does start to think of her as family, as his surrogate daughter. Like in this conversation, he's letting Ellie know in no uncertain terms, family is the most important thing, more important than anything, more important than the rest of the human race. So remember that, it's like the core of his being, it informs every decision that he makes. Even all the terrible stuff he was forced to do while he was still with the Hunters a long time ago. He was doing it in the name of keeping his family, Tommy, safe. Right now, Ellie, who just barely experienced all this, she's so young, is looking for a reason to continue. Like, what is the point of living if it's going to be like this? And Joel's just telling him, you continue because of family. I'm sure there's a Fast and Furious meme in here somewhere. Like, Joel will eventually say the word family almost as many times as Vin Diesel says the word family. When they encounter the roadblock, all this is generally the same as the game, but they made the big change from Pittsburgh to Kansas City in the episode. The Hunters are meant to be a rogue faction in the game, like the Fireflies, who seek to establish their own dominance over Fedra. The Hunters also want to get rid of Fedra as well, but they have their own idea of what order is in the apocalypse. Within the context of the story, the Hunters overthrew the Fedra authority in Kansas City and in Pittsburgh in the game, and just continue to rule the city with an iron fist, killing outsiders that would come along for their supplies. They set up this massive roadblock here at the tunnel as an elaborate trap, forcing outsiders to enter the city where it'd be easier to kill them and take their stuff. They have these roadblocks in all the entrances and exits to the city. That's why when they're entering the city, the camera pans across that burned pile of skeletons. Those are bodies of regular people, not infected, that the Hunters had previously killed like they tried to do to Joel and Ellie here. The scene of the Hunter pretending to be hurt to get them out of the car is right out of the game. The reason why Joel knows immediately that it's a trap is because he was one of them and would have done the exact same thing in this situation.
You gonna help him?
Put your seatbelt on, Ellie.
Well, what about the guy?
He ain't even hurt.
There are only a couple of Hunters that they deal with at this trap here, but they have traps like this all over the city. Their group is relatively large. It's meant to show you how they control all access in and out of the city. Their whole mission here is to escape the city. They're going to have to do this again, like escape through another group of Hunters to get out. This whole encounter here is meant to be more about Ellie, though, saving Joel and using Bill's gun and proving to Joel that she herself could do it. One, she was capable of being useful, and who she also deserved to have a gun. She almost enjoys this moment here too, pulling the trigger, but that's when the hunter's back was turned, when she didn't have to face him directly. You can see her moment of hesitation when he turns around and starts the sob story to get her to stop. When she talked about having to kill someone before, like this isn't her first time, that time was also very different from what's happening here. It was still super traumatic, but she absolutely had to do it. It was sort of a fight or flight kind of thing. This time, she's in no immediate danger, and it's more her killing someone in cold blood, which she talks to Joel about later. She isn't able to kill someone in cold blood, yet. That's also a big part of her arc, too, like the way that she just deals with surviving in the apocalypse, like the terrible things that you have to do in order to survive. Joel, on the other hand, obviously no problem killing people for any reason, even though in this case it's totally warranted. Like that hunter definitely would have either informed on them or continued to try and kill Joel and Ellie after the fact. The reason he uses the hunter's knife to finish the job is just pure resource management. As Bill said in episode 3, it's all about resource management in the apocalypse. Conserve your bullets. Also, knives make way less noise and they really want to avoid alerting more hunters. When they're escaping to the other building, the Humvee that passes by is one the hunters stole from the Fedra Authority during the uprising. The other cars they've just scavenged from what they could put together across the city and other supplies that they've stolen from unsuspecting travelers. We meet Melanie Linsky's Kathleen character. She's not from the game. She's like a brand new character for the show. She's meant to be one of the co-leaders of the hunters here in Kansas City with Perry. Their scene basically gives you the backstory of what happened in Kansas City and how the hunters overthrew Fedra, because like Boston and other cities, Fedra were doing terrible things. Like it was just generally a terrible existence for everyone. While they were still under Fedra authority, it sounds like the Fedra military captured her brother and tortured him because of something that he was doing. And she's after Henry and Sam because Henry gave up the location of her brother to Fedra. Henry and Sam, huge characters from the games, they changed their story a little. I'll talk about that when we get to their part of the episode. On the show, though, the idea is that Fedra would have threatened Sam's life, and Henry's whole thing, like his whole reason for existence, as Joel says, protecting his brother Tommy, is to protect Sam, his younger brother. So he would have had no problem giving up Kathleen's brother to protect his little brother. And in the wake of her brother's death, Kathleen is just looking for revenge on Henry and just going to crazy lengths to get it. One of the reasons why I think they added her in the show is just to build out the Hunter storyline. Like there's this whole side storyline where they change Henry and Sam's backstory just so that more is going on during this big Kansas City Hunters encounter. In the game, it was a little bit simpler, but it was the same basic premise. Whole bunch of hunters in a city, they have to make it through the city. They also want to use Kathleen as a more complicated kind of antagonist. She's somewhat justified in wanting revenge for her brother, but what she does goes so over the line, she becomes a villain. So it's not so much like a Negan Walking Dead situation where he just loves power for power's sake. That's why later when she and Perry find one of Henry and Sam's hiding spots, she pauses for a second when she sees all of Sam's drawings. She wavers a little because he's just a little kid, and in the moment she kind of understands the complexity of what Henry did. Like, oh, he wanted to protect his family, like I care about my family. Only for a second though, then she snaps back to cold hard revenge. The Hunters generally are meant to be a much darker mirror to the Fireflies as well. Like the Fireflies still do bad things, like I said, but they're saints compared to the Hunters. Generally, you're just meant to understand why Kathleen's doing this, where she's coming from, but it's all still meant to be terrible. She's still meant to have gone a little bit nuts. During her conversation with the doctor, we learned she was originally from Kansas City before the fungus. He was her family doctor who delivered her in a local hospital, and showing you how cold she's gotten. When she doesn't hesitate to kill him after he's no longer of immediate use to her, even though it's not like doctors are falling off of trees in the apocalypse, probably want to keep as many of those around as you can. When she's spitballing on Joel and Ellie, assuming that they're mercenaries that Henry and Sam hired, it sounds like she almost believes that. I don't think she's totally lying here, like she's exaggerating a little bit and using that as an excuse to ratchet up their tactics around the city. When we go back to Joel and Ellie hiding in a nearby business, on the newspaper outside there's an article about hiding. There's articles on the other newspapers all over the inside about the immediate aftermath of that night in 2003 when the military rolled out around the country to deal with the fungus for the first time. One of the other differences from the game too, during this part of the story, originally they were trying to get across the bridge in Pittsburgh to escape the city. This time on the show, the Hunters are still guarding all the exits from the city on the other side, but it's not the bridge. The scene of Joel and Ellie bonding where he teaches her how to use the gun properly, also right out of the game, it just happens in a slightly different place in the game. She starts to reveal her backstory a little more when she says this wasn't her first time killing someone. That's Riley she's talking about. We'll see more of that in future episodes, but right now she's still too traumatized by what happened with Riley to completely talk about it. It's the same thing with Joel, like they're slowly opening up to each other about their histories, continuing to bond as father and daughter. You notice Sam's drawings on the walls depict their history living in Kansas City under the Fedra Authority, like he has drawings of his brother Henry fighting Fedra soldiers and blowing up their gear. Depictions of them as superheroes, like the one she picks up of them wearing the superhero suits, which Sam is wearing at the end of the episode, like the mask he's wearing when he has the gun on Joel. When they go to the basement and comment on the fungus that's shifting beneath the cave-in, this isn't from the game either. I think what they've done is they've taken the big bloater encounter from Bill's in the game earlier and just set up a version of that here. And the thing shifting beneath the floor that Kathleen says that they'll worry about later might be the show's version of a bloater, because it would just have to be way bigger and more powerful than a clicker in order to make the floor shift like this. An early prediction, this creature will get out and go on a rampage by the climax of either next week's episode or just as they're about to escape the city. Like they start fighting the hunters, things get really nuts, and then this giant creature escapes. I don't know how many episodes we're supposed to be in Kansas City for, maybe just one more episode, maybe two more. Joel and Ellie hiding in the other building and encountering Henry and Sam is also a slightly different version of what happens in the game. In the game, it was just a normal apartment building, and they accidentally ran into them while they were trying to run away. In the episode, it's Henry and Sam that run into them while they're sleeping. It's implied that they had also been there in that same building hiding and just heard them enter and waited until they fell asleep to sneak past the broken glass. But just like in the game, Sam was the one holding the gun on Joel. And the whole ending of the episode here is huge, not just because of the introduction of Henry and Sam, because they're huge characters from the game. It's a huge step forward in Joel and Ellie's relationship, whereas before, he'd really shown no signs in caring about her backstory or what was going on inside her head or anything like that. Him asking her about the thing that she didn't want to talk about in her past, killing a person, now he's actively interested in learning about her past trauma, this person that she killed that she doesn't want to talk about. And them sharing the laugh together over more bad puns, until obviously we meet Henry and Sam. Couple differences here. In the game, there's no backstory with Kathleen's brother or giving anyone up. Henry and Sam were also from a different town and just wound up in Pittsburgh, obviously different city than the TV show, where they were trying to escape, just seeking shelter and then trying to get through escaping the hunters. The reason why Henry wanted to escape the hunters in the game is because they just generally didn't like children because they didn't think that they were useful. And he was trying to protect his little brother Sam, so they wanted to get through the blockade that the hunters had on the other side of the city. Without getting into spoilers, I'm expecting their storyline to be very similar to what it was in the game. If you have played the game, please don't post those spoilers in the comments. The song during the ending credits was also a version of Gary Jules' Mad World, which Ellie also plays during The Last of Us 2. Most of the songs that you see in the show are songs that they used in the game, or just original music from the game, like the main theme song. But next week might be the conclusion of the Hunters storyline. Maybe it'll go 3 episodes, we'll see. If you spotted any other Easter eggs or references during the episode that I didn't mention in the video, write them below in the comments. My Last of Us Episode 5 trailer video will post next. They will be posting Episode 5 on Friday because of the Super Bowl a couple days early, so my episode review will post right after that. And I will be doing trailer videos for all the big Super Bowl trailers. Everyone click here for my Last of Us Episode 5 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that. And click here to watch Kit Harington talk about his Game of Thrones Jon Snow sequel series. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.